Hi everyone, and welcome to another long translation problem for our maximizing or minimizing optimization style problems that we'll deal with the actual math in later videos. All right, so here we've got a giant word problem. Our strategy for all word problems to start is the same. Slowly read it all, try to figure out what's important, break it down into pieces. Okay, but before we do, let me scroll up one more time and state these phrases are often in it, at least. Okay, so if you see at least, it means something is greater than or equal to some number. And if you see at most, it means something is less than or equal to some number. Okay, so that's always nice to have, and you could write that every time at the start. Say it's on test day, just have that written down real quick anytime you have these giant translation problems. Okay, so that's how we can set that up. And let me scroll. Okay, so now we've got it. All right, so let's break this problem down. So first, let's read it slowly. If you're feeling comfortable, I mean, you could try it by yourself and then just fast forward and check. All right, but let's read it slowly. So it says, a dietitian in a hospital is to arrange a special diet containing two foods, yogurt and cottage cheese. Each ounce of yogurt contains 30 milligrams of calcium, 10 milligrams of iron, 9 IUs of vitamin C, and 8 milligrams of cholesterol. Each ounce of cottage cheese contains 50 milligrams of calcium, 30 milligrams of iron, 5 IUs of vitamin C, and 15 milligrams of cholesterol. If the minimum daily requirements are 600 milligrams for calcium, 210 milligrams of iron, and 90 IUs of vitamin C, how many ounces of each food should be used to meet the minimum requirements and at the same time minimize the cholesterol intake? What is the minimum cholesterol intake? Okay, so let's go to, so again, read it as many times as you need to, but I'm now going to start to underline right here because this is where they start to ask the first question. And we can even underline the full last question as well. But in it, it says how many ounces of each food should be used. All right, so they talk about two foods, yogurt and cottage cheese. So that means it looks like our X, since they wrote about yogurt first, that's going to be the X is involving yogurt. And they're asking how many ounces, so this is the number of ounces of yogurt. And then Y would be the number of ounces of the other food, cottage cheese. Okay, so there's our two variables set. So we have the number of. Also in this statement, so I can pick apart, so it said how many ounces of each food should be used to meet the minimum requirements and at the same time minimize the cholesterol intake. And they're asking, what is the minimum cholesterol intake? So we don't know that either. So cholesterol intake, so we don't know that. So that's going to be another variable. So let's just say, let's use capital C for cholesterol. So cholesterol intake. Okay, so we don't know that either. So that should be our that should be another variable. But that I don't think I'll use it yet until near the end of our problem. But we'll find out in the setup. Okay, so let's go through this. So it says a dietitian in a hospital is to arrange a special diet containing two foods, yogurt and cottage cheese. So that's kind of already taken care of based on these variables. So I'm just gonna put a little check mark and say, okay, so that's done. Instead of highlighting like I did in the last video for this, I'm just going to move on. Okay, so it says each ounce of yogurt contains 30 milligrams of calcium. All right, so this is all about yogurt. So let me do yogurt in blue. So each ounce of yogurt contains all this information. And then it says each ounce of cottage cheese. So that's our other variable. So let's do it in purple. Has all of this information. So here they kind of organize the information all together. Sometimes they break it apart into pieces, kind of like the last one. Let me scroll up just to show it in case you So this one got messy where you can see the blue, purple, blue, purple, blue, purple. So here it looks like it might be a little better organized. Okay, and then it says if the minimum daily requirements of these. Okay, so here it doesn't look like they used at least and at most, but or either one of those, but it looks like they've got some other style. They're saying if the minimum daily requirements, we go and underline or box that minimum daily requirements, and we could even underline the daily requirements part, are each part of these. Well, these are the special units for us. So it looks like those should be the categories for our variables. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and just put, so calcium, and then it talks about iron, and then it talks about vitamin C. Okay, so there's those, and so that's vitamin C, not this C, capital C, cholesterol intake. So it might be a better idea to change that variable. So you can change it to whatever letter you want. I'm still just gonna keep this as capital C, and we know vitamin C is different. Okay, so we've got calcium, iron, vitamin C, and they say the minimum daily intake. So the minimum daily intakes are these amounts. So let me put those total amounts to the side. So 600, 210, 90. Okay, so there's all that. And then again, I see minimum. Minimum is one of these inequalities. So I need to figure out minimum. I need to figure out if I should do greater than or less than. And one way to break it down is just to say, well, let's just take the 600. Let me put that right there and just kind of see if this makes sense. So they're saying the minimum daily requirements are 600 milligrams of calcium. So 600 is the minimum. So this side should be bigger than 600. And this inequality makes that match. Whereas if I say, hey, 600 should be the minimum, which means this other side should be bigger. Well, now bigger less than 600. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so 600 is the minimum. We want more calcium than 600. So this on the left, once we plug numbers into X and Y, should be bigger than 600. All right, and so now let's figure out, so that way I know what the inequality is. So it is less than or equal to, there we go, or I mean greater than or equal to, sorry. So this number over here is greater than or equal to 600. This number is greater than or equal to 210. Okay, so sorry about that. So I had the symbol pointed the right way, just said it wrong. Sorry. Okay, so but let's break down all of these portions. So all I want to do is just get the calcium stuff together, and then the iron stuff and the vitamin C stuff. And well, the yogurt has 30 milligrams of calcium, so that's where we would attach that coefficient to its variable. So calcium, I have 30x, and then plus the cottage cheese stuff, plus cottage cheese says 50 milligrams of calcium. So attach 50 with y. And then let's continue that pattern. So iron, 10 milligrams of iron for the yogurt, so 10x, and then plus the iron amount for cottage cheese, which is 30, so plus 30y. And then the last thing, vitamin C, so it's 5 IUs of vitamin C. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. The blue is what I want first, so yogurt, 9x, and then plus 5 IUs of vitamin C, so plus 5y. So there's all of the categories matched up. Okay, so this is our setup here. Okay, so and with this, we could still, if I just plugged in a number just to check like this one, just real quick, if I did let x equal like 10 and y equal 10, something that's easy enough to work with, it would be 300 plus 500. So that would be saying we're getting 800 milligrams of calcium. The minimum that was wanted was 600, so 800 is more than that. So that's good. So it makes sense in the words translated to the symbols. Okay, so that way, again, we have the correct symbol set up. So if we accidentally had it less than, less than, less than, or equal to, then we would say, oh, well, if I plug those in, then it's no longer making sense. All right, so we can switch the direction right away. All right, so anyway, so that's all taken care of. And like before, now I will highlight and say, hey, this is all done. This was all, or no, not all of it. Oops, not all of it, actually. I'm highlighting. I got a little crazy with my highlighter because one part that wasn't accounted for yet was the stuff about cholesterol. Okay, so let me box those and let me highlight one more thing. So these were involved with those inequalities. Okay, so we've got almost everything down. And then now we're back to the underlined part. It said how many ounces of each food. So we did already take care of that with the variable setup to minimize the cholesterol intake. So what we need to do, so I'm going to say minimize cholesterol. And that's where we say, well, the stuff about cholesterol, it didn't say there was a minimum here about it with the inequality stuff. So that's where we would use an equal sign. So notice where it says minimize or minimum, the big variable at the end. So just like this one, this was minimize cost, and it was also just equals. Here it's also equals. So we're doing cholesterol this time though. So minimize cholesterol, and from there we could attach the corresponding units. So 8x plus, so 8 milligrams for the yogurt, 15 milligrams of cholesterol for the cottage cheese. So 8x plus 15y. And then that looks like that's everything. So now I can officially, let me go ahead and highlight that. That was in the, okay, so that was involving the cholesterol. So I'm using a different color highlighter. And then everything else is taken care of. Everything that I didn't highlight looks like it's fine, or just something involving the question that we broke down. Okay, so there's everything. So we found it all. That's our final, this is our whole thing that would set it up to let us solve it. Now again, we will not fully solve these yet. We are just getting used to the wording, and then afterwards we will deal with the actual solving in later videos. All right, so if you do have any questions though, please let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.